Welcome, everyone. I see all these folks filtering in. All right, we're going to give it a couple of minutes before we start so everyone has time to join. If you all would not mind, if you're on camera, that's awesome because we love to see your faces. I'm Chris. I'm the Chief Operating Officer at BrightBee. We're all going to introduce ourselves and talk to you later on. For now, we'd love it if you just hop into the chat and just tell us your name, what hive you're in, maybe how long you've been working with BrightBee. And then you can see here on the title slide, we have kind of an icebreaker question, which is what is your favorite thing to eat or drink with honey? And so again, if you hit the little chat icon at the bottom, it should open up your chat thread, and then you can go ahead and engage with us there.
Ooh, Sierra with the pollen, bee pollen. I just bought some recently. It was an upsell at a honey stop. They're like, oh, if you haven't tried this, try some pollen. Tea with honey.
I think tea's a good choice. When we've, just so you all know, when we go to conferences and things to find new partners to work with, we always have honey as a treat. And we sometimes they're like honey sticks. So you can rip it open. And I think it's made to, you can bring it on the go and pour it into a beverage. And those are all very popular.
Got some right here. Okay, so we have about 25 joined. We had a little over 40 that RSVP'd, so I'll keep letting people in.
Pancakes with honey. I've never heard of that. That's a cool idea. I'm glad we got peanut butter honey in there, but you got to put bananas too. It's got to be peanut butter banana and honey. That's like.
All right, Alicia, I'm going to be our timekeeper today. So
okay,
I think
perfect.
We can dive right in.
Okay, so Michael, if you want to go to the next slide. Keep an eye on the waiting room, but hi everyone, Alicia Frausto. You probably have heard my voice in video app demos and on the monthly buzz. I'm super excited to have you all here for our very first BrightBee Town Hall. We have a jam-packed agenda. Kicking it off, Michael's going to share some celebrations and a recap for how we got started humbly with nine bees in 3 schools and where we are today. And Chris is going to share some exciting app updates that are going to be released in the coming weeks and things that are going to get us ready for back to school. Lisa's here and going to be introducing the bee support team and how to best communicate. We are a small but mighty team that is answering all of those text messages and phone calls and app clicks. And then I'll be sharing a little bit more about what to anticipate for the 25-26 school year. And we are very much here to make this a group session and a Q&A session. So besides the chat, feel free to add comments and questions throughout the session, but we will have a chance for everybody to unmute at the very end and ask questions live. Next slide. And so we introduced, but we could do one more round because a few people were coming in as we were going. So I'm Alicia Frausto. You may have heard on the monthly buzz that I was getting a new title. So in about a week or two, I'm switching from the Senior Operations Manager role to the Director of Bee Experience. And I'll pass it over to Michael Lombardo.
I'm Michael. I am the founder and CBO of BrightBee. And I'll pass it to Chris.
And I am Chris. Nice to see you all. I'm the Chief Operations Officer here. And then there's Lisa.
Hi, Lisa. I'm the newest one here, and I am the new Senior Operations Manager. So I talk to you a lot that call in and text into support.
That's good. And a few housekeeping things. I know you all are fantastic at Zoom. Thank you for those of you that are comfortable putting cameras on. Not a requirement, but always great to put names and faces together since we're so used to seeing you on text for the most part and know your names very well. We are going to stay unmuted unless it is a raised hand time to speak. The chat is already active, so we'll keep that going and we'll have Q&A at the end. And if you have not already, it would be great to rename yourself so we can also see where you're joining from. And so to do that, Michael, if you click one more, if you are on a computer, you can hover over your photo, find the three dots and press rename. You can also find that in the participants list as well. And if you're coming from a phone, at the very bottom, there are some settings and an option for you to rename. If not, feel free to just put where you're joining from in the chat. Okay, and I'm going to pass it over to Michael to share why we are here.
Yeah, thank you all so much, not just for joining us here today, but for all you've contributed to making BrightBee the place that it is, and for all that you've done to support our schools and the students that attend them. I wanted to kind of start with, we're a very mission-driven organization at BrightBee, and sort of the why of this. This is the first organization I've led that actually has two missions, because we have a mission that's about our schools and supporting students and creating a positive learning environment, but we also have a mission about you. When we started BrightBee, we agreed that part of the point of this was to engage and support workers to help you prosper and grow. And so we get out of bed every day thinking not just about what can we do for our schools, but what can we do for you? And how can we make this experience as enriching, both literally and figuratively, as we can. And so we're just really grateful. And I wanted to start with a note of thanks. I also feel like this is something we don't talk about much, but we're a very values-driven organization as well. These are the BrightBee core values. I think you oftentimes as bees are living these every day as you engage with us and support our schools. Solidarity in particular, when I talk with bees, hear so often how much you appreciate both that there's a team, Lisa's team, formerly Alicia's team, that is kind of there with you side by side, dealing with all the things that come up, and that you never feel alone when you're at school. I love it too when I see bees that are, spot each other with the yellow lanyard at a site, and kind of can make that connection. Tenacity is really about not giving up. And many of you have overcome so many difficulties to get here. I know this is all of our California bees today, but some of our states, just the process of getting cleared to work in a school is unbelievably difficult. And so you show this wonderful tenacity and kind of pushing your way through it and saying, I'm focused on this goal I have for myself and I'm not going to give up. And the clarity is just all about how we kind of center ourselves and think about the importance of our work and focus. And then a lot of what we talk about within our team is the humility of recognizing the diversity of our bees. People come from all walks of life. They come to BrightBee for different reasons. Some people want to work here full time. Some people are like at the end of their career and they just want to work here and there because they like being around kids. We have college students. We have people that are coming out of school systems and want to work in a different environment. And so we really try to stay grounded in the fact that people come to BrightBee from many paths, but we hope that everybody, like I said, can kind of prosper and grow while they're here. And so we're also a very data-driven organization, so get ready for some slides with some graphs because it was a heck of a year. So just in this past school year, we completed over 10,000 assignments on BrightBee. For perspective, last year we did about 2,000. So this was almost 5 times as much activity on the platform, which is incredibly exciting. We broke our own record in May. We did over 1,300 assignments. That was the best we'd ever done in a single month. So this is just, a testimony to all of you coming together and making this happen because none of these assignments happen without bees. And it's really exciting to see this organization continuing to grow. And as Chris and Lisa can tell you, there's much more out there that schools want from us that we are scrambling to try to meet every day. We also expanded. So last year we just worked in the Bay Area and the Detroit area. Now we have 7 more apiaries. And I saw someone submitted a question about Texas too. They're looking for Austin, Texas. Texas is on the roadmap, but To be honest with you all, we had so many new districts and so many new states that we actually put a moratorium back in March and said we can't take any more because we want to make sure we're doing a really, really good job supporting our bees. And each state has different processes for how you get cleared to work. Each state is just a little bit different and adds new complexity. And we said we'd rather do a smaller number of states and do them really, really well and really be in a position to support our bees and our schools than go too crazy. So sit tight. Texas is coming. But for now, we're focused on California, Michigan, Ohio, Illinois, South Carolina, New York, and Pennsylvania. And then this is, so all of you here are California bees. We're doing a separate one for our folks back east. So this is how each hive contributed to that total. And I saw we had some LA folks. We are so thrilled about LA. We are just getting started there. That's what the little rocket ship means. Like we're in launch mode in LA. We had the very first LA assignments about a month ago. So I didn't want LA to feel less than. Same with Sacramento. I have my Vacaville people here, but it's, you know, we didn't want you guys to feel like you were shamed by some of these other hives that, like San Jose, we worked with the entire school year. And that was the very first hive we had. So they've had a lot more time to get going. Vacaville just got started. LA just got started. We have a huge amount of opportunity to scale both of those up. And so this is kind of still in launch mode, but something that we're super, super excited about. And I also broke down, in case you're curious, kind of like how this sort of factored out around different job titles. As you guys know, there are different kind of categories of assignments. So this is like broad categories, and you can see that our instructional and after school folks really kind of led the way. But we had a not insignificant number of para and operations and clerical. And before you ask, we started a pilot program in Detroit where we were doing substitute teachers. And we also did a little bit of piloting. We had some ideas about it here in California too, but don't freak out that you've never seen like teacher assignments in California. That's because right now the only place we're actively doing them, and we're still kind of experimenting with it, is in Michigan. And then I also did like a little word cloud if you want to kind of see, these are all the job titles. So part of our job is that like different schools call the same job different things. You all probably noticed that inside the app. So this is a little word cloud if you want to see. These are this isn't even all of them. This is the 30 most frequently requested job titles on BrightBee. There are actually almost 100 that were in there, but I couldn't make the word cloud look nice. But you can see a really cool, like I said, diversity of different kinds of roles and different ways that bees are supporting schools. And then I couldn't make a graph for this, but some other cool numbers that I thought you would find exciting, that we find exciting. So within, what we call an apiary, that's like the Bay Area is like an apiary, if any of you know your bee lingo. But then there's individual hives within that. So here in the Bay Area, for example, last year, we really just worked in Oakland and San Jose and San Mateo. But now we're working in San Francisco. We're launching in Marin next week. And so we've been able to kind of expand out within those communities, which is also super cool. We're working now with over 30 school systems and community-based organizations, about 100 active locations the bees are going to. And we've got about 4 times as many bees today as we did a year ago. And just in this year, we've paid almost $1.5 million in compensation to bees, which is super, super exciting. And of course, our team is growing too, not quite as quickly as our bee team, but our team's grown too. And we're trying to scale up and be able to support you as we continue to grow. Oops. And then this is your feedback. So all those surveys that you take, thank you, by the way, those of you who fill out the survey, that is so helpful to us. Like we say all the time, we're still learning. Growth mindset is also a part of our kind of values here. But the stuff that fills my cup up is hearing from bees about the impact that we're having. And so what you can see here is that in our survey data, the vast majority of bees are telling us that they are increasing their earning power on BrightBee. They've learned about, become interested in new kinds of jobs. They're feeling more professional satisfaction and more connected to their community. Like that's as I started with that. This is the why for us, is the impact that we're having. And the folks, like 90% of you are saying you're satisfied with your experience. That's awesome. The 10% that aren't, mostly, we'll talk about in a minute, are saying, oh, I'm not kind of seeing the kind of assignments that I want to, or, when I log in, it looks like everything's already taken. And we are working on that too. But just really, really wonderful to hear just the way we're seeing bees share back to us the impact that we're having in their lives. And then this is what the schools have to say about you. And we ask them to talk about the impact of having a partnership with BrightBee. And 98% of them also say they're satisfied with the experience. They tell us overwhelmingly that the climate of the school feels better, that their staff are less stretched thin, that the principal can go back to doing their job instead of like grabbing a walkie and running out in the yard, and that the environment for students is safer and better supervised. So you are really making a difference within the schools, and the data here really help you feel that. And of course, just like we asked you to give shout outs to the schools in the last survey, we asked them to do the same for you. And many of them shouted out specific bees. We didn't want to play favorites here. So this is some of the more generic feedback we got from them. But Alicia and I were talking about this the other day. This is the third organization I've led in the K-12 space. And when I go on site to schools, I have never been thanked more than at BrightBee. And schools, if they see that I've got my BrightBee logo on, they come running up. They want to tell us how amazing the bees are. They want to tell us, what a game changer it's been having on their campus. It's a wonderful feeling knowing that we are making such a difference. So that's it. That's the celebration. Just thank you all. None of this would be possible without you. We're so grateful to have you be a part of our hive. As Alicia referenced, we've been busy bees ourselves, and there's a lot of stuff coming for back to school that we're very excited to share with you. So I'm going to hand it over to Chris now.
Thanks, Michael. And so one of the things that's interesting is that I feel like Bee Support, most of the folks on this call, and Brennan and all the other folks you interact with are really like, I think, the face and the voice and the names of BrightBee to you all. But we have a really incredible team of humans behind the scenes who make all of the technology work. And so before I say anything, let me just say, if you tried to access our app today and it was down, that wasn't us. That was a larger kind of server issue that affected a lot of providers. But what I can say is that within a minute of us reporting that outage, our tech team confirmed that they were looking at it. And within 5 minutes, they confirmed that it was an outside issue and there was nothing they could do about it, but they would monitor it for us. So again, very responsive team. And especially over the summer, as we're looking to ramp up for next year, working on a lot of really exciting enhancements that are going to be available in the app. And so what you can see here are just some snippets of some new look and feel pieces for the app. These will be in the coming weeks. It won't just suddenly appear. You won't log in and see a difference someday. We'll send you an email and give you a warning on when things will look different so you're prepared for it. But it's going to be a little bit sleeker and maybe easier to use. In addition to look and feel, we're also looking at some of the functionality behind the app to enhance that. So I think, I'm sorry, Michael, if you go back one more. Some of the technology or functionality behind it now is that you all know you see a lot of assignments that you either might not be eligible for or interested in. And so just as an example, there are a certain number of college credits required to work some after-school program assignments in California. And if you don't meet that requirement, you have to scroll through those assignments every time. The new functionality in the app will allow us to tell the technology which bees have which qualifications and which assignments require those qualifications. So that way you're presented with the assignments that are meaningful to you, the ones that you can actually claim. So that should really streamline your experience so that you're viewing the things that matter to you. One of the things that we get a lot of questions about too is when you see a specific bee name in the description, that can be, again, kind of discouraging and or just clutter up your box when you're seeing assignments that you're not eligible for. We will be changing that technology. So again, those won't even appear to you. You'll really be seeing what matters most. And then we're very excited about, although it may not seem so different to you, our availability survey will be moved into the app. So right now we send out an email and we ask you to fill out the Google form that tells us what your availability looks like for the week ahead. That's really important for us because, as you all know, if we have an assignment, a last minute assignment that we really want to help a partner get filled, we outbound to you to let you know it's there and try to get someone to claim. That availability survey tells us who to outreach to first because you've raised your hand and said, this Wednesday, I'm absolutely looking for work. Putting that in the app really streamlines things on our end, so we'll be able to outreach to you faster. And again, it will be a bit of an easier experience for you rather than going to a separate Google form. So just some of the app highlights, and again, we'll communicate when that's happening in some more detail so that it doesn't surprise you. But overall, it'll be a great change for the user experience. Now on the next slide, Michael, we have also announcements around our 25-26 pay structure. So just to clarify, 25-26 is for us the school year that starts on July 1st. So all the things that I'm going to describe are happening effective July 1st. One of the things that might not be so visible to you today is that we have ranges for assignment lengths, right? So there's 4-hour assignments, 6-hour assignments, 8-hour assignments, and that is how the wages are determined, or the pay is determined for a particular assignment. Starting on July 1st, we're really moving that to a more set hourly structure where the number of hours for that assignment will impact how much pays out. And just to be clear, that's not like I clock in at 6:15 and then I clock out at 2:45 and it's calculating the exact time. It's really still rounding to the hour, and it's determined by the actual start and end time of the assignment. But just getting clearer for both BPay and for sites that that's on an hourly structure as opposed to a range. Also happy to announce that most of our hives will see a pay increase from what is in place today, and then what happens after July 1st. The only ones that won't are those hives that just recently launched. And so we, that pay is already taken into account what it should be current state. And then we do have 1 or 2 hives who we did a pay increase for within just the last few months. But in general, everyone else will see that uptick, and we will be sharing the specific details of the pay rates with you all after the town halls wrap. So you don't have to ask us. We'll push that information out. We'll make sure you have access to all of that. And then also for those of you who work paraprofessional assignments, we're also introducing within the title now, today sometimes you see it in the description, 2 different titles. So there'll be a distinct mild mod paraprofessional title and a distinct mod severe paraprofessional title. And the mod severe assignments will actually pay at a higher rate to recognize the difference in the responsibilities and the qualifications required for that role. One thing that we always hear from bees that they love are our milestones and those multipliers that you earn. So the more assignments that you complete, you get to ramp up what your pay rate is. All of that carries forward from the prior year. So whatever milestone you have now, that comes with you. And if you're however many assignments you've completed, that also carries forward. So nothing gets lost in the year-to-year crossover. And then the other thing that we're really excited to announce is just some different ways that you can kind of add earnings onto the pay rate associated with an assignment. Going forward, again, effective July 1st, bees who are requested by name by a site will receive an additional amount. It's $12.50 per day, $12.50 per day. You'll earn that on top of what the standard pay rate is, plus your multiplier. If you are working a multi-day or a long-term assignment, that's also an additional pay of $12.50. One very important note, you don't get both. If you're requested by name for a multi-day, that's just the one top up. The one that is stackable, though, is if you have a special skill requirement. We have a number of sites who very often request bees who have bilingual skill set. And so in that instance, that's, again, another $12.50, and that can stack on top of the other information. So that's, I know, a lot. We'll send out some materials that outline exactly what it looks like. And at the bottom there, we have what I think we say a lot, which is the app is the source of truth for assignment to pay. And when you look at the amount associated with an assignment in the app after July 1st, it will incorporate all of these things into that figure you see. So you don't have to think about, well, it's this, and if it's multi-day, it's going to add that. That number will give you what it is you'll earn. But want you to understand that behind it, there's a lot of additional ways that that amount can increase depending on the type of assignment. And again, if you get requested by name, which a lot of our bees do because you impress them so much when you get on site. All right, I'm going to hand it. And just a reminder, if you have questions, you can save those to the end, but you can also put them in the chat and we'll track those and come back to them. But for now, I will hand it back over to Lisa to introduce your bee support team.
Thank you. Hi, guys. So this is your bee support team. I'm sure all of you are the most familiar with Brennan. He's been here for quite a while. Shanice and I are both new bees ourselves. I've been here, I think this is start of week 4 for me. Shanice started last week. So we are still newbies, just like some of you. But I'm sure since everyone on this call is from California, I've talked to probably all of you so far. I usually get pretty chatty in the text messages. So if you're getting chatty messages, you're always going to know that those are from me. Brennan starts really early in the morning for us West Coasters. He's on at 6:30 a.m. his time, which is 3:30 for us. So a lot of East Coast bees get him, and then you guys in California get me just chatting you up until the evening. And Shanice is right there in the middle. But this is all of us. And now you see, you can put a face to, to my text messages with you guys too. When do you guys need to call us? When do you need to text us? When do you need to email us? Whenever you need something. I have kind of some typical questions and things that we like to see come in. So I'm a newbie and I have questions about using the app. How do I claim an assignment? Am I a fit for this assignment? What do I do? Text us. Call us. If you are a newbie and you need help setting up your profile or questions about your branch account, call us, text us. If you are on your way to an assignment and you get stuck in traffic, let us know. We can do outreach to the site for you if we need to. If you have questions about upcoming assignments, if you are a bee who's generally worked consistently over the last 6 months and now you need some time off and you don't want to take a couple assignments for a few weeks, let us know. Then we will pause our daily outreach when we are looking for bees, and we'll leave you alone for a little bit. But just communicate. I over communicate with everything in my life, and I would ask that you guys follow that same thing. Anything that you need to let us know, anything that you need to know, give us a buzz. That's my pun for the day. Text, call, email, you know how to reach us, and we're always here for you. Real quick before we hop on to the next one. When we are looking to reach out to bees, when we need to fill a last minute assignment or things come up, we rely on the answers that you give us from your availability surveys. So when you're getting those, it's super helpful for us. We start with bees that have indicated that they've been available for that day or for a week, and those are who we outreach first. So if you submit your availability survey, you'll get on our high contact list when things come up. Also, just the same, like I said, reach out to us via text. If we reach out to you guys, responding to the text is always appreciated. Even if you're like, thanks, not available, at least we know, and then we will not reach out a couple more times. So just let us know. It's great to get a response back, even if it just is that you're not available. And again, I like to chat, so just, just let me know. Okay, we can go on to the next one. A lot of questions that are coming in right now to Bee Support are about summer work. Will there be summer work? When is it coming? What are the assignments that are available? Here's a list of what we have, and that is upcoming. San Francisco, we will have some more YMCA stuff coming available. I don't think we do as well. Since we're all California here, I'll just pick and choose out of this list that affects you guys. Los Angeles and California, no instructional roles right now that we know of, but custodial roles. I think I've been reaching out a lot over the last 2 weeks for those, and more anticipated. It seems like schools are trying to get a deep clean in over the summer before the next school year starts. So we're seeing frequency of those. So those are what we have that we know for sure for work in the summer. And then some that we know already that we're not going to have assignments at this time: San Jose, Oakland, San Mateo, Concord and Vacaville. I think that's all the California ones on there.
Lisa, do you mind if I add one more piece?
Yes, of course.
Okay, I'm just going to share a little bit of what we learned from last summer, because this is our second summer. So we are learning just based on the trends. And when you only have 2 data points, you're trying to predict off of crumbs. So right now, a lot of schools are limited to the summer programs that they already have, and a lot of times they fill it with their current staff, or just the enrollment is much smaller. And so that's why they don't need as many subs, just because there are less students in these types of programs. And that's very common in the seasonality of summer and June. And then in July is when there's a few administrators on campus and the teachers are not yet back. And then sometimes they come to us and they go, we have this project we want to get done before our teachers arrive. And that's when they call on us for, hey, do you have anybody who can come organize some iPads or inventory the number of headphones we need and things like that. So just because it says no known at this time does not mean we're not actively trying. Our partnerships team is in constant communication with our school partners. We are constantly trying to find little ways to convince them that we can help save their day and their valuable time by taking off some of those project type things to be able to get them ready for back to school. But as you can imagine, if you've been on the school site until end of year, their focus has just been, I just need to get to summer break. And then I can start thinking about what I need next. And so this is not just like a start stop. It is an active process of communication, but we appreciate your patience in just this normal kind of slower season to the summer. But thanks for letting me share that.
Of course. That was it. That was my last slide. So thanks for letting me take a few minutes, and I will pass it back over.
Yeah, so it's back to me now. And I want to reiterate what Alicia's saying about summer too. We work really, really hard to try to shake the tree as much as we can for assignments. And it is a daily effort. So we're doing our best, and we're working on some plans. I know it's not very helpful right now, but some plans for next summer to be able to provide more opportunities independent of our school partners. That's actually kind of a good segue into this, which is some of the questions that we saw in the chat too were about will we be able to have W-2 employees? Right now, all of you are independent contractors, and we've been doing a lot of work around this, and we're going to start just here in California. We won't make it available in other states yet. We want to pilot it. We want to start to provide W-2 opportunities, and being bee punsters, we're calling them EmployBees, and our goal here is both to be able to provide more consistency to our schools, and also to start to have new kinds of assignments. And there are parts of what we can do with you that are about kind of building BrightBee. And that means helping train other bees, doing observation and feedback, doing what we're calling buzz buys, where, so in California, most of us are here in the Bay Area. If we want to like drop off some goodie bags at schools or a box of donuts and some jars of honey at school in LA, it's like one of us has to fly down there. And so we want to really leverage you as our sort of boots on the ground to be able to do those kinds of things, and help us to not just fill and take assignments, but also to be like a part of how we grow BrightBee. And so we're really excited about this. Lots of legal stuff. As all of you probably know, California is very extra about employment law. And so I put this little slide together just to kind of help you understand the difference. So as an independent contractor, the main difference I would say, oh, that's good, Alicia. The main difference I would say is flexibility. So as an independent contractor, you get to set your own schedule, work when you want to work. We bug you a lot about trying to get you to take assignments, but we'll never like deactivate you for not taking assignments. You can dip in, you can dip out. As an employee, it's going to be, you have a job with us. That means that we will give you a schedule, and you'll be expected to work a minimum amount every week. And we will not like be mean about it. We'll make sure that we're giving you a schedule that fits what you've told us are the kinds of assignments you want to take, that are within the area that you said you're comfortable commuting to. But it'll be less flexible, less kind of set your own, and more like we're going to work with you and set a schedule, and then you'll be expected to work that schedule. We also be really transparent that 1099s, we do not withhold any taxes. So you file your taxes in April. And so if you are an EmployBee, your take-home pay will be lower automatically, because we are required by law to withhold taxes from employees. So now we have to do that stuff. And then also, as Leisha was describing, we're doing raises across the universe. Your EmployBee rate may be lower than what your 1099 rate would have been. And part of that is because as an EmployBee, you'll be able to get benefits from BrightBee. You'll have the choice whether you want to do it or not, but you'll have health, dental, and vision. Like with most benefits plans, we will pay part of your premium, you'll pay part of your premium. But the kind of compensation to an EmployBee is a little more inclusive of your benefits as well as your cash compensation. And so you'll have a chance to enroll if you want to. You don't have to if you are happy with your current insurance, but it's something that we heard over and over again from bees, and we wanted to provide this option for you. And then another important difference is, as Chris was saying, like as a 1099, you get paid based on the posted hours of the assignment. And if the school lets you go early, like that's cool, you get paid for some time you didn't work. Whereas as an EmployBee, now you'll have an app called Rippling that you'll have on your phone. And you'll clock in when you get to the school, you'll clock out when you leave the school. If there are unpaid breaks, you'll have to clock out for your break and clock back in again. And your pay will be based on those clock in and clock out. And again, that's just California employment law. That's how we have to do this. And so right now we're a little annoying about getting you to clock in to check into your assignments when you go to the school. We'll be a lot more annoying because we won't be able to pay you if you haven't done your clocking in and clocking out. And then the last thing is, and there are many, many other different, these are just some high level ones. There's a bigger, longer sheet that we will talk about, but as an independent contractor, we can't provide sick pay, whereas we will allow you to accrue sick pay as well. And so if you need to call in sick while you're an EmployBee, you'll be able to accrue that time and use that time. So we do have some eligibility requirements to be able to be a part of this program. And I want to stress too, this will be a pilot. This is new to us. And so some of you have been with us since the beginning. You know that BrightBee is all about kind of trying to learn and iterate as we go and sort of building the airplane while it's in the air. So we ask you all for some grace as we learn going through this process. But you'll have to meet some requirements. You'll have to, of course, be a California resident and have the legal right to work as an employee in California. The requirements are a little different for contractors. You will have to have done at least 50 assignments over your lifetime with BrightBee. If you're somebody who works, 5 days a week, that's like a couple of months. And we want to see a pattern from you that you're like consistently working too. So it's like if you worked like 20 assignments and we didn't hear from you for a few months and you worked 5 assignments, again, that's less. That what we're looking for is someone that we know that we can like rely on to come in and take those scheduled hours when we book them. And then we also are going to be looking for folks that haven't had any negative feedback, any kind of no-show. The EmployBees are going to be kind of our model bees, and you'll be in a position where you are coaching, training, supporting other bees. So we want to see that you're showing up, kind of being I don't think there's a good bee pun for model, but we'll think of one. And then you'll have to be able to, sort of commit to a regular schedule and to do these other kinds of assignments. Like I said, it doesn't necessarily mean leading an orientation if that makes you feel uncomfortable. It might be participating in orientation and speaking about your experiences. And so you have to be cool with doing those new kinds of assignments too. And what will happen is next week, we'll send out an email to all of our California bees. There'll be a form that you'll go to if you're interested. And if you're not sure whether you meet the eligibility requirements, that's okay. You can still fill out the form. But if you think you meet these requirements and you think this is something you want to do, then we'll ask you some questions. And then we're going to have a whole nother town hall, a separate informational session where we'll go much deeper because there's, like I said, California's very extra about employment law. And so we'll go into all the details and you will answer questions like what happens to my multipliers. And don't worry, there will still be a version of multipliers for EmployBees, but it's more complicated now. So we'll give you a chance to ask those more detailed questions and to share a little bit more, but we're really excited about this. We're hoping that those of you who kind of look like the bullets on this slide are interested in taking us up on this. And there will be an opportunity for some of these kind of special assignments over the summer where maybe we don't have work like doing, typical SPED paraprofessional assignments, but we have a lot of work to do as BrightBee gears up to get ready for back to school and to go do a lot of work for both getting a whole lot of newbies oriented, but also getting lots of goodies out there for our schools. So this is a pathway for you to get some hours over the summer as well. So fill out the form. And now back to Alicia.
Okay. So thank you all for being here and sticking through all the logistics. We're on the final little stretch before the Q&A. And as I shared, my role has changed a few times in this organization. When I met Michael and our other co-founder, Zach, in September or August of 2023, it was an idea. And coming from 15 years in education and very stable work, my parents were like, wait, what are you doing? But my first title was program manager. And I think at one point it was like Queen Bee was maybe my title, but that wasn't exactly LinkedIn profile worthy. We just have kind of formed what this process has been. And so my role has been sitting on the support side, which is what you see in yellow, but joining as the director of Bee Experience, it's going to be more of the through line from the moment a candidate applies all the way to when a candidate or a bee says, I'm no longer in the area, or I needed to find a full-time job, or my availability doesn't match. And that's what my role is going to really be, this end-to-end bee experience. And part of that I'm super excited about is it means I get to have more conversations with you all. And so that might look like surveys, sometimes the mass surveys we do to all bees, or I might come in just specifically to certain hives or specifically to certain roles and wanting to learn more about what your day-to-day is like when you go to the school sites and how we can make it better for all of our newbies as well. I'm really looking forward to having more virtual meetups like this. So if this is something that you enjoy and being able to pop in flexibly versus having us host it in person in all of our regions, make sure to add that in today's feedback survey. And I look forward to having more phone calls. As Lisa shared, a lot of our day is approving assignments on the app and clicks and text messages. But when we get to talk to you in person and hear your story or hear what the day was like, we feel like we're right at the school site with you and get to be your cheerleaders behind the scenes. Next slide. And so just wanted to shout out some of the most recent feedback. This was from our May 2025 survey. These really warmed my heart. BrightBee has been a blessing to me and my family. I've been able to make transitions into careers and roles I never thought I would have been interested in. I've seen that again and again. People will come to BrightBee saying, oh, I just heard about it. I liked the name. I decided to apply. I took one assignment and one assignment turned to 5 assignments. And before I knew it, I was doing a whole different role than I even thought I was qualified for. And that's that upskilling journey that just is what we love to hear, that you are growing, you are prospering. And that goes back to that mission statement. Appreciate all the shout out for the bee support team. And we will share this with Brennan, who is earning his well-deserved break in Europe right now after his many early morning texts and getting people to school sites at the last minute when schools have people call out sick. And going back to that bottom one, very happy to have found something flexible and where I get to choose the days I'm open to work and really being able to work around what you value most. So thank you for those shout outs. We love the stats and all of the scores and things that Michael shared earlier, but it's this kind of qualitative work that we really appreciate guiding us as well. And then the last slide on this one. And so for those of you that are newer, I just wanted to give a little history of how your feedback has impacted the plane that we are building and flying. And so if you just go to the 23-24, you can see that we started by expanding states, we added more hives, and we started our first placement process where bees that worked full-time multi-day roles actually got hired full-time by some of their school sites. And then in 24-25, I think it was this time last summer, we kept getting feedback about pay. And at that time, we were doing one-time bonuses. I think it was if you worked 15 assignments, then you got a one-time bonus, another 15 assignment, one-time bonus. And we had bees ask about pay. And we rehauled the entire app and structure to be able to do that level up pay milestone, which you've seen in orientation. We added a lot of after school options last year based on the availability that people were sharing. We've grown our bee support team so we could respond to you quicker. And new this year, we actually added a few remote and virtual assignments. I see Sierra in the chat. She was one of our bees that joined as a virtual tutor from California for Detroit schools, which was very, very cool. Schools came to us in Detroit, asked for a very unique opportunity, and they said, oh, we need someone in Michigan. And we said, but we have, if it's on Zoom, we have bees that would be interested. And we were able to work with that partner and be able to provide the support crossing state lines. So when it comes to our final, where are we headed? These are some of the ideas and requests that we've received. A lot of it is centered around opportunities to connect with fellow bees. So that might look something like this, being able to meet in a virtual space. It might look like cohort learning. Let's do a little series on how to be a para. Let's do a little series on classroom management, and you can join and learn as you go. A lot of requests have been around Hive-specific information or role-specific information. And once we have some of those W-2Bs, EmployBees, they'll be able to help create some of that content. So we have more reference guides, things about Rocket Ship Public Schools, things about Aspire LA. We'll be able to learn what that looks like based on your feedback being boots on the ground. And yeah, I'm just excited, and you'll probably hear from me again soon about what some of those ideas might look like and where we start in fall season and build off from there. And so if we go to the next slide, I think we are ready for our Q&A. We have about 13 minutes left of the meeting. And so how it's going to work is if you have a question, you have two options. You can quickly just post it in the chat and we will spotlight it and share there. If you would feel comfortable unmuting, that would be great too by raising your virtual hand. When you unmute, do share what your name is and what Hive you're joining from. Share your question. And if it is for a particular teammate, make sure to shout that out too so we know who can address it. And if any questions do not get answered today, there is a feedback survey and a space for you to share there. Once we've had multiple town halls, we'll pull a lot of our frequently asked questions and probably send out not only the recordings, but even some reference guides based on what was shared in these meetings. So I'm gonna mute now. Anybody want to kick us off by typing in the chat or raising your virtual hand?
All right, and we did, just to confirm, I scrolled all the way back through. We didn't have any questions posted throughout, but Lauren, I'm guessing you don't want to come off mute, which is fine. All right, Lauren's question was, will there be more paraprofessional roles in San Francisco Marin posted for this upcoming week and the rest of the summer?
I can answer to that. We have heard yes. Some of our YMCA San Francisco summer camps started this past Monday on the 9th, and some of them start next week. And then the way it works with YMCA is students and families enroll for 1 week at a time. So some might just join for a week, and some might join week after week after week. And when it comes to paraprofessionals, the para is attached to the student. And so if that student typically gets one-on-one support during the school year, they're eligible for para support during the summer season. And so if a family signs their child up on Sunday night and the YMCA finds out that they need a para, we might be coming to you Monday morning with a new opportunity. And so we are asking for as much advance notice as possible, but by the nature of enrollment being flexible, we are announcing it as soon as we hear about it. So great question, Lauren.
Okay, now they're pouring in. This is great.
Yeah, this is great. I'm trying to go loosely in order. So I think we had a question from Alicia in LA. I'm guessing she's in LA. Will there be more sites? Yes. As I referenced, we did kind of a soft launch with Aspire this spring. They have loved the quality of our bees. As you know, I think they have a dozen or so schools, all pretty well clustered in South LA. And so a few of them have gotten active as part of the soft launch. Our expectation is more of them will be active in the fall. And then we're having conversations with quite a few other schools throughout LA. Some of the conversations are also kind of South LA, but some are a little more on the west side. We're pretty far along in a conversation with Inglewood Unified. So our expectation is just like we did in Detroit and here in the Bay Area, we'll start with an initial kind of hive and cluster of schools in LA, and then just within Aspire, there's a lot of room for us to grow, but we'll grow to some other school networks as well.
And I think my vote is we prioritize the people willing to speak up. So Allison, I see you have your hand up. Did you want to come off mute and ask a question?
Yes. I don't remember exactly because my orientation was like a month and a half ago, but so I'm in the Vacaville Hive. And I feel like I remember them saying something in orientation about if you didn't take an assignment within like 60 days or a certain amount of days, you would be deactivated. Like, I don't know what the term was, but you would, be deactivated essentially. And I'm just wondering with summer, seeing as though it is slower and Vacaville's newer, do I run the risk of having to like reapply in August?
No, and I can answer that when this is Chris. So, no, obviously,
Okay.
when we don't have assignments available to work, then we make an exception for that. And we expect to have so much need in Vacaville. So, Allison, we are so happy you're here and we cannot
Okay.
wait to get started in fall. The one thing that might happen is you might have to sign a new contract with us, but that's we send you an email, you send the doc. There's no new orientation, there's no additional clearance.
Okay.
Very minor. And so we'll let you know if there's anything you need to do. But again, so glad you're here, and we will love to have you here when back to school comes.
Okay, sounds good.
Yeah. And to
Thank you.
clarify for anybody else who's in that boat where you're like, it's been the school year, there were assignments, and 60 days have passed. Am I allowed to be in this meeting? Because I see some names here. I'm going to shout out Rula just joined. She was one of our early bees from San Jose in the early stages, and even did some interviews with some of the candidates in the room. And if you are inactive, meaning you haven't taken an assignment at 60 days, it's not that you're deactivated just yet. That hasn't been our policy yet, but you just might not get as much communication from us. We might see that you haven't responded to anything in a little while, so you're not going to find out about those day of assignments like typically when you fill out the availability survey. And we might actually start giving you a phone call. Hey, is everything okay? We haven't heard from you in a little while. And so it's not that you are deactivated, it's more that you might go into a category of inactive, and we might communicate with you in a different way than the usual. So when we have people that have been inactive for a while for any reason, or maybe a season, if you're in college and your availability changed for a semester, don't be scared to come back. Tell us why, re-engage, and we will find out what you need to be able to catch up to speed. So great question. I don't see any other hands raised. So Ethan, looks like, what is BrightBee's approach to keeping a consistent amount of bees or consistent amount of assignments for longtime bees as the number expands? Michael, do you want to share a little bit that kind of goes into our partnerships and kind of what happens behind the scenes, not on the operations side, but with our partnerships team?
Yeah, thank you, Ethan. It's great to see you. And everything at BrightBee is kind of a balancing act. We're trying to balance having the right amount of work and the right amount of bees. We're also trying to balance giving newbies the chance to get engaged and excited and to, fall in love with BrightBee in the way that hopefully all of you have, while we also want to make sure that our most veteran bees are getting all the work they want to get. And so just know that this is something that is very top of mind for us every single day. A part of why we created the EmployBee program was to have a way to sort of prioritize people who have been here a little bit longer. So it's not to say that our newbies aren't still amazing. We're so excited about Vacaville, but because by definition, EmployBees will have been here a little bit longer, and we'll have a schedule where you've kind of committed to us when you're available, then we'll make a commitment to you that we'll kind of prioritize getting those assignments to you. So that's kind of how we're coming at it. But I also want to really make sure that everyone agrees that, it's really important to us too that we're taking care of our newbies, and they go through a lot, as you all know. You all went through it. Like they go through a lot to get activated. We want to make sure that they don't feel disappointed at the end of it, that they don't see the assignments they were hoping for. So we're doing our best, and in particular, if you're in a hive like Vacaville that's brand new, like just know that we are also working really, really hard with Vacaville Unified to get more assignments posted. And it's a process with schools. Many of you have worked in public schools before, so but it is something that we are very much thinking about, Ethan, and we appreciate the question.
Yeah,
And I
and
guess
the
I should also
easiest.
have a question about my swag. Is that like
I was going to
Yes, I
say,
would say
as
that's the next one.
expected, there's a lot of swag chatter.
I dress to impress. Yeah, so some of you, you get the little packets from us that Alicia's been sending. We'll continue to do that, and then I don't think we have a time frame for it yet, but we are working with a vendor to be able to open kind of what we call an online store where you'll be able to order all kinds of BrightBee swag if you want to. I hope with Alicia in her new role too, we've kind of gotten away a little bit from having, we did a lot of events in the first year. We had like a Thanksgiving event and a holiday event, and we've been so busy doing so many things. I think we haven't been as active doing that, but as those of you who came to those events know, we always hand out swag. So when there's a BrightBee event, whether it's a happy hour, whether it's a holiday party, know that if you come, there will always be swag. I can't promise it will be this jacket, but it will be some cool swag. So So stay tuned on that, and we would love to get more of that out there. And yeah, appreciate the shout out. I didn't even show you the back too. Do you want to see what the back says?
Oh,
Yes,
we
it
haven't
says-
even seen the
I
back.
was gonna, I didn't know there was a back.
There we go.
Oh,
Support
support staff.
Boom.
Awesome. Okay, we just have a few minutes left. Any last minute questions while we have everyone live? Okay. We appreciate all of you being here. Thank you for taking your Thursday afternoon, especially some of you. It is the first day of summer, depending on if you were at a school site yesterday. As we've shared, great things are not done by impulse, but by a series of small things brought together. This has always been a very intentional process. There's a lot of thinking behind the scenes in all the decisions that are made. And every time we make a new decision, we want your feedback to know if it was in the right direction. And that kind of is our true north for how we are building this as we go. In the chat, I'll continue to put the survey link. It's a chance for you to share that you joined today, that if you go to the next slide, I don't know if there's anything I had there. Yep. After this, you will get a Zoom recording. Once that is ready to go, we'll follow up that way. And in the feedback, I also put a few things just to find out what topics you were most curious about. So make sure to share some of that as well so that we can start getting planned for back to school and getting ready for that. Okay. Well, super great to see you all. Anybody want to last words?
I was gonna let Michael, I'll say thank you. It was wonderful to see you all. I'm so glad you came.
I was going to say the same. Just we're so grateful to have you be a part of BrightBee. And as Alicia said, even if you didn't get a chance to jump in with a question or provide some feedback today, our door is always open. I see some names here, people who have emailed me direct. You can email me. I will always email back. And I love hearing from bees, both when I go out and visit schools and, when they show up in my inbox. And we're building this thing together. And so the more you communicate with us, the more you share your experiences, the more you tell us what you like and what you don't like, the better you help us be. So just thank you, not just for all that you're doing, taking assignments and working in schools, but for being a part of building BrightBee. We are so grateful for your support. All right.
Okay.
Bye.
Thanks, everybody.
Bye, everyone.
Thank you.
Bye.